Hey everybody, John Skiba here, and in this video I'm going to talk about this red-hot housing market and how it could impact your bankruptcy. But if this is your first time here on my YouTube channel, please click subscribe. That way you'll be notified each and every week when I put out a new video that'll help you deal with your serious debt problem. All right, this past 18 months has just been crazy for everybody. The economy's been crazy, jobs, even the bankruptcy filings, that which is the area of law that I practice. It's just been something that's totally unexpected. 2020, right when the pandemic was hitting, most people thought that that would be this just, explosion of bankruptcy filings. 2020 was actually had the lowest bankruptcy filings in the United States in the last 14 years. There are a lot of things were impacting that, particularly stimulus money that was coming in, and the creditors not pursuing foreclosure, repossession, giving basically some forbearance on some of the loans. So all those factors kind of resulted in a low number of bankruptcy filings. Now this year, in 2021, we're seeing just this explosion in the housing market. In Arizona, where I'm at, you often see homes go on the market and they are selling for over the asking price with cash bids being added on top of whatever it is that they're seeking. So it's just been kind of a crazy upside down economy lately. Something that I am seeing as a bankruptcy attorney that I'm seeing is impacting people in a way that they didn't really anticipate is people who are still needing to file for particularly Chapter 7 bankruptcy are running into this issue where their home now has considerable amount more equity than it did even at the beginning of the year. To understand why this is a problem, let's kind of explain what Chapter 7 does. Chapter 7 bankruptcy is ideal for getting rid of credit card debt, medical bills. It eliminates them completely. They're discharged through that process. The trade-off is that the bankruptcy court, and more correctly, a bankruptcy trustee, is going to look at all of your assets and determine if there's anything that can be sold for the benefit of your creditors. Now, the good news is most assets are protected by something called an exemption law. One of the most common exemptions in every state is the homestead exemption. The homestead exemption protects your home. However, in most states, there is a dollar limit attached to that. For example, in Arizona, right now in 2021, the homestead exemption is $150,000 of equity is protected. In other states, it's much lower. In other states, it's unlimited. But if you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy and you have more than the allowed amount of equity in your home, the bankruptcy trustee can force the sale of your home. So, for example, if you live in the state of Arizona, let's say that you have $250,000 of equity in your home. The bankruptcy trustee could sell your home, pay off your first mortgage, make sure they give you up to $150,000 of the proceeds, because that's what your exemption is, and then anything over $150,000 in equity, we said you had $250,000, so $100,000 would be distributed out to your creditors until they were paid in full, and then any balance would come back to you. So the issue that we're seeing with this hot housing market is people who are needing to file bankruptcy because of job loss, medical bills, all these other things. They qualify for it financially as far as the means test goes. We're running into this issue where their home has appreciated in value so much over the last few months that it's making it very risky to file Chapter 7 because they may actually lose their home in that process. So the point of this being, if you are needing to file for bankruptcy, particularly Chapter 7 bankruptcy, you need to get an attorney and have that attorney get a current valuation on your home. And it's always not an appraisal. Appraisal isn't always the best thing to do, because what you really need to know is what a real estate broker would sell your home for right now. If they were to put that on the market, what's the price to think that they would get? Because you may be surprised, like a lot of clients that I have been talking to lately, you may be surprised at what your home is worth. A good starting place is Zillow.com. Now, I know all the real estate agents out there are going to be mad at me for saying that, because Zillow is notorious for also not being super accurate. But it's a starting place. And I know in Arizona, it's a starting place for the trustees in a bankruptcy case. They can go look there and just kind of determine roughly what the house is worth. But you may need to talk to a real estate agent, broker, to find out exactly how much your property is worth. If you have more than the exemption that's allowed in your state, you need to reconsider that bankruptcy filing. I hope that's helpful. Thanks for watching today.